So, of course, Keir Starmer has been over in Europe at the start of this week. And so far, from what we've heard, it went pretty well, quite frankly. This is exactly, of course, what we wanted to hear. Um, we've even seen, of course, I think Starmer said, he wants to be very ruthlessly pragmatic about, these UK, EU sort of reset about this. And quite frankly, that is good. Like him saying he wants to be ruthlessly pragmatic, bear this in mind, what we'll see in a moment. Everything here, I think, fully falls under being ruthlessly pragmatic. And I've always said, until the negotiations actually start, sort of in a couple of months' time, Starmer doesn't actually have to say anything like of what he wants. And I think that's deliberate, mostly to try and head off Farage. And Farage, remember, has tried repeatedly, even just the past week with the 5th anniversary of Brexit, to try and trot out the whole Brexit betrayal narrative. Didn't really seem to catch on that much. So that's good for the current government. That's good for Starmer. It's good for this reset as well. But the most big thing talked about was, of course, security pact. And this, I cannot stress, is just so important. Given the fact, of course, we've got Donald Trump in America, he is going to do something at some point on tariffs on something with the EU. He may go even further in some areas as well. Maybe we'll see him, I don't know, remove troops from Europe or something like that. He may do something along those lines. So this once again highlights the fact that European security for a very long time has been predicated on the fact that America is there and that they will come in to assist should they need to. However, because of Donald Trump, because you've seen this completely inconsistent ideals on this from America, then you have seen the idea really like grab hold in Europe, very, very much so, as we talked about before, the idea of European security autonomy, meaning that don't actually need to rely on America or on America as much, which is good. Which is good for all our collective security on this one. Like, this is something we all as Europe should be agreeing on this, But um, I do understand leaders' frustrations. Well, we were saying, we'd like to see this, this, and this, and we're not hearing anything from Starmer. Again, I don't think they understand what the situation maybe Starmer's in. Maybe sort of the UK sort of government might be in at the moment when he wants to sort of do these things. As we've always said many, many times before, Starmer cannot be seen, coming in as sort of undoing Brexit. Like, he literally cannot be seen as that prime minister. Maybe next time he can be and undo some of this stuff. Maybe he can talk about that next time, but instantly, no, you cannot just come immediately back in and say, we are going to undo Brexit. That would be a big, big, big kettle of fish. You just do not want to do. So just from a pragmatic, a viewpoint of view, it's not going to happen. But at the moment, in the future, these things are good. Setting up these types of things, these security packs, looking at things, we'll see what the sort of EU reset will sort of procure, what it will do in the future, but it will be good. But meanwhile, of course, we have had the European president comment on some of this stuff, and I do sort of very, very much agree with him on this. So before we do get into this, like I say, please do click the like and share button down below, Patreon page, buy me coffee, YouTube thank you button, all that good stuff down below. And of course, as always, thank you very much for everyone for watching. And of course, let's crack on then into this. So fishing rights will not derail the UK EU Security Pact, says European Council President. So the EU will not let the question of fishing rights derail now the pact with the UK on security and defence, the European Council President. Why? Next to Germany, we are one of the biggest defence spenders. Like, next to Germany, we are one of the biggest defence spenders. And us being involved in the defence of Europe is good. We are part of Europe. Deny it any way people love to say that, any way you want. Sorry, but we are. So European security matters to us. So these comments from António Costa, who took over the European Council as president back in December, is a boost for Keir Starmer amid the frustrations among UK officials over the EU insistence on now trying to link a security deal to other demands, notably the fishing rights. Costa said that he wanted the closest possible relationship with the UK, saying asked whenever these fishing rights would, of course, get in the way of the security pact, he said, no, these are different things. European defence and fisheries cannot be put on the same level. We should have common sense on what we are talking about. He is exactly right. Why are you trying to equate fisheries, which, bear in mind, still not a massive big, if you were to pair like European defense and like fisheries, I would say European defense should matter a heck of a lot more than the question on European fisheries. It should not just be a stumbling block on this. I completely agree with him on that. He was, of course, speaking to reporters 3 days after Starmer outlined his EU security pact. A dinner with EU leaders on Monday, the first time British Prime Minister has attended the European Council since Brexit. Costa said that it had been a very important moment where everybody expressed what they will need to now strengthen our cooperation, security, and defence. Along with, of course, the European President, Ursula von der Leyen, Costa will travel to the UK for an EU-UK summit on the 19th of May. This meeting is expected to yield an agreement on opening negotiations on a range of areas, although the precise outcomes do remain uncertain. Like I say, that will be the big reset. We'll see what happens in, like I say, a couple of months' time. For the EU, the main concern is, of course, the post-Brexit fishery agreements. This expires back in June. Will expire in June of 2026. Member states do want to maintain the status quo, but the Prime Minister will face pressure to secure now bigger quotas for British fishing fleets. According to diplomatic sources, a large majority of member states are in favour of a package approach, linking all topics to the UK-EU reset, including security, fishing rights, and a youth mobility scheme. However, striking a more emollient tone, Costa said, what is important now is to take note of the wish of the United Kingdom to reset their relations with the European Union and our wish to have the closest relation possible with the United Kingdom, namely on security and defence. He added that it was important to implement now the previous agreements, overcome problems, and prevent new ones. Senior EU diplomats have viewed the UK relations now as the easy bit of the Monday summit, which included talks on how to deal with the US president, who has now voiced open hostility to the EU, as well as debate about funding European defence projects by incurring now a common debt. The EU needs to find 500 billion euros for an extra defence investments over the next decade, the Commission has now said. So good. This is actually really good. From what we're seeing on this, like I can't disagree. And when you've got the the European president saying, we've got to be pragmatic. We can't equate that fisheries and like European defense are like on the same scale and level, because they're not. When you were talking about all of European security, which is, again, a far more fundamental, important issue, for all of Europe, you cannot be quibbling over, fisheries. Now, I think, if anything, what I think I would see, and I would love to see Starmer go back into, is the common fisheries policy. That would be the best move. Not only, of course, would this mean that UK fishermen could now land their catches in European countries, you could see a return to more fisheries water. This would be good. Like I say, fishermen will complain, they're coming to catch in our, but the UK fishing industry is tiny. They do not fulfill their quota amounts, or as we've seen in the past, they would lie about how much they would do, and then they would not end up catching that much. There's just so much stuff on here, and there is no UK Prime Minister would go to the wall for the UK fishing industry. We've said this before. Even Boris Johnson did not go to the wall for the UK fishing industry, despite his protestations of the fact that he would. That didn't happen. So I can see, either A, the status quo being kept, or what I think Starmer should do is he should join common fisheries policy again. That would be a step, I think, in a very, very good direction for the UK fishing industry. There would be, of course, moaning and protestation about that, but I'll tell you what, UK fisheries suddenly be able to sell their fish, back into Europe a lot more easier. Well, suddenly they might gripe about it, but suddenly it's a lot better for them. you know? So, as always, let me know what you think down below as well. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.